Hello guys, welcome back to this channel, and today we're ranking all of the episodes in the show. And one thing I want to say before we get started is that, okay, I had problems getting the show review released, so I might give some thoughts about the show in general before we get started. And then we'll get to the ranking, and then so this is just gonna be my thoughts on the show as a whole, and then we'll rank the episodes. Because I couldn't get the show review uploaded, I had a lot of problems getting it uploaded, so you won't be seeing that unless I have like a week, or maybe a day that I kind of am free. I'll give more thoughts, and then once season 4 comes out, I'll re-rank all the episodes, or I might just do the season 4 episodes. I don't know. And then I'll give the show review after that, and then rank all the seasons, characters, finales in the show. I might even include the original Karate Kid and maybe even Karate Kid Part 2 in there because I've seen them. Anyway, let's get started with the show. Oh, okay. So yeah, don't forget to check out my episode ranking playlist because, yeah. And then thoughts on the show in general, I really do enjoy it. It's a ton of fun. The characters are all great. It's really funny because Johnny's so, like, out of place because he's just so stuck in the 80s. He's learning about Facebook, YouTube, all social media. I love his reaction to cyberbullying.
A bunch of pussies. Back in my day, if you wanted to tease someone, you did it to their face. There was honor, respect. These geeks hiding behind their computers. What a bunch of spineless losers.
It's just hilarious. And, yeah, I mean, he's just so much fun to watch here. And that's kind of my thoughts here. I think it's a really good show. The characters are, for the most part, really good. And, yeah, I mean, it's a great show. I had a lot of problems with season 3. But season 1 and 2 are just great, especially season 1. It's awesome. I think season 1's even better than the original Karate Kid. But Karate Kid is still great. And let's go start with the ranking of the episodes. Honestly, I think season 2, thinking about it, even though I like season 2 more than 3, I think season 2 has some pretty bottom-heavy episodes. And I don't think this is a bad episode here. It's just a forgettable one. And in last place is going to be episode 4, Moments of Truth. I'm sorry, season 2, episode 4, Moments of Truth. The problem here is that it's just forgettable. I don't really enjoy it all that much. The thing I do like about it is I really do like the little beach club scene with the Miyagi, and the Miyagi, not really a clone, but kind of, he's fishing, and though he looks like Mr. Miyagi. That was great. Everything else, just forgettable. It's not bad, it's just forgettable. The introduction to Tori, didn't care for her. I didn't really care for Tori throughout the season, but she does work as a rival to Samantha LaRusso, especially in season 2. Season 3, they kind of got lost with it. They made her too mean, and I think she's the only kid in the Cobra Kai gym, or karate dojo, that really was a bully at the start, and I just didn't care for her in this episode, plain and simple. And this episode in general, just kind of forgettable. It doesn't do much for me, but it's okay. It's still watchable. But it's my least favorite episode of the show. Next up is going to be Mercy Part 2, Season 2, Episode 1. Or season premiere of season 2. I think the season premieres, honestly, tend to be actually some of the weaker episodes of maybe all the seasons. Season 1 and 3 are kind of higher for this. But Mercy Part 2, the problem here is that it solves almost every single cliffhanger that was set by the season 1 finale very rapidly. And I think season 3 did a better job at solving some of these cliffhangers than season 2 did. And this is probably the most frustrating part of the entire season, that they just literally just solved it in this episode, and it didn't work for me. But it's still an enjoyable episode, and I love seeing John Kreese here. Look, I really do like those moments, but it's still just okay. I might get some hate on this one. I'm kind of batching myself on this one still, and that's at number 20 is episode 10 of season 3, December 19th. At first, I had this one maybe in the top 10, but then the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I thought the near the end of season 3 it got a bit too dramatic. Even though I really did like the past 2 episodes, but this one, the house fight. The problem here is there's so many just fake fights you can see in the background. The choreography is nowhere near as good as the school fight, and like literally, my problem with the season in general. I think this is kind of what the problem with the season. Like I thought the season was great, and then this episode did kind of ruin the rest of the season a little bit because it's just the way things ended. It didn't work for me because it's the worst thing about this episode. The house fight, it's okay. I also didn't mind the crease fight. The character moments work pretty nicely. I like the fact that Johnny and Daniel are now teaming up with each other, and this episode does have something to say. John Kreese flashbacks, absolutely. I think I would have put this maybe at 2 spots higher if it weren't for the John Kreese flashbacks. Like I thought they were good at first, like the first couple episodes they were in. I liked the first 2 flashbacks. Once he started training, and then once he got into the Vietnam War, it didn't work. And then there was, I don't remember if this was in this episode. It might have been a different episode, but there was kind of a Terry Silver cameo. It was like, that's Terry Silver. I'm like, wait, what? They shot him in the head. It just, I just didn't care for the John Kreese flashbacks. And this episode has a lot of flaws, but still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. And I like the way it teased where we're gonna go to season 4. So that was interesting. Hawk's redemption arc, I'm glad that's there, but it was just too sudden. Like he just broke into a house, literally, and I can't believe the LaRussos didn't even. I thought they had security cameras in the house, like literally. I'm like just shocked that they were able to get away with this. Like it's just kind of frustrating. Like the funny part, I'm going on for too long here, but the funny part is that you see that John Kreese is literally just getting away with everything. And it actually kind of works, but there's 3 times in the season where I'm kind of shocked that they got away with this. First one is the at the arcade fight where Hawk snapped Dimitri's arm. That one is frustrating. The second one involving the whatchamacallit, at the zoo. I'm just shocked that they're able to get away with that. Like what? How are they able to get away with that one? That's probably the least frustrating of the 3, and then the house fight. Like, just come on. And overall, this is not a great. It's still a good episode, but it's not a great one. Number 27 is going to be episode 5 of season 2, All In. I might need some explaining for this one because I just don't really care. I still like it, but except for the mall fight, which is what puts this one ahead of the past 2. I'm just not a huge fan of it. Like, I think the worst part is that, especially Johnny, he's just being such a dick in this episode, where he literally stomps into a dealer, and then literally kind of like tries to like hurt Noosh. It's just like you're not rooting for him whatsoever. And it's just kind of frustrating to see this. Like, some of the character moments work. I think the Miyagi-Do training worked much better than the Cobra Kai training. Although I love that lesson about the choking in the beginning of the episode. For some reason, I've always liked that. But overall, just kind of forgettable. Number 26, this is where I actually get into the good episodes. And that's going to be episode 2 of season 2, Back in Black. I'm one of those people that really do like this episode. And I love the ending, love the Miyagi-Do training sessions, and the Cobra Kai one with the cement. For some reason, I've always loved that. Other than that, like the middle and the beginning are it's kind of sluggish until that point. But that ending is just great. Number 24 is going to be episode 4 of season 3, The Right Path. I think honestly, I had a lot of trouble placing this one. This one I think is probably the most mixed bag, because on one hand, I really do like the storyline I actually really do like the storyline with the LaRusso. I like the Tom Cole storyline here way more than I did back in season 1. Literally like 20 episodes ago. But here, I mean, other than that, like, the Cobra Kai storyline is pretty good. I like the soccer game scene, which it's really interesting how all the Cobras are in one team, and then they're just fighting, and then I think this is the only time where I think the Cobras did, at least in season 3, where they did something bad and they were able to get away with it. This is the only time where I think it actually worked. At least it worked before this episode, and after this episode, like, all the felonies, they're just breaking. It doesn't work anymore. So, I mean, it's kind of fun. And I like the end of the episode with Daniel in Japan. I find that interesting, segueing into that great storyline. The best part of the season, in my opinion. So it's just great. So I really do like this episode. Number 24 is going to be episode 4 of season 3, The Right Path. I think honestly I had a lot of trouble placing this one. This one I think is probably the most mixed bag, because on one hand I really do like the storyline with the I actually really do like the storyline with the LaRusso. I like the Tom Cole storyline here way more than I did back in season 1. Literally like 20 episodes ago. But here, I mean, other than that, like, the Cobra Kai storyline is pretty good. I like the soccer game scene, which it's really interesting how all the Cobras are in one team, and then they're just fighting, and then I think this is the only time, or I think the Cobras did, at least in season 3, where they did something bad and they were able to get away with it. This is the only time where I think it actually worked. At least after it worked before this episode, and after this episode, like, all the felonies, they're just breaking. It doesn't work anymore. So I mean, it's kind of fun. And I like the end of the episode with Daniel in Japan. I find that interesting, segueing to that great storyline. The best part of the season, in my opinion. So it's just great. So I really do like this episode. Next up at number 23 is going to be King Cobra, season 3, episode 6. I think I put this one ahead just because of the scene where Hawk just went insane. That's the only reason why I think I'm adding this episode. I'm not really adding, putting it ahead of episode 4. The thing I just really like about it is I like the Miguel training stuff. I thought that was cool. I think this is the episode D. Snyder. That might have been the last one. I can't remember. Yeah, that was episode 5. That might have been episode 6. I cannot remember. I'll look, but I'm pretty sure it was this episode. And honestly, I think this is actually a great episode. This is kind of where we get into great episodes, and the storyline with Cobra Kai is pretty good. The Miyagi-Do storyline is interesting. I think this is no, that was the next episode. But honestly, I just think this is a good episode. I think it was pretty watchable. Next up at number 22 is going to be episode 2 of season 1, Strike First. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir. But I think, honestly, this is a great episode. I think I'm one of those only people that really does like this episode. From the, honestly, like, I love the Miguel training sessions. The thing that holds this one back a bit, the LaRusso storyline, not that interesting to me. I like the pool. I think the pool scene was in this episode. I thought that was pretty fun. I like Daniel's reaction to Cobra Kai. I actually thought that was really interesting, an interesting part of the show in general throughout season 1. But I don't know. It's just not the best episode. But still a good one. Actually, it's a great one. Number 21 is going to be episode 8 of season 2, Glory of Love. This is probably the funniest episode of the season, where you have Johnny trying to go on that dating app to find a date. It's just hilarious. But the thing is that the LaRusso, well, not really LaRusso, just the Samuel and Robbie storyline and with Tori involved, that's the one thing that's keeping this episode back from being maybe like a few spots higher. I know season 2 has been pretty bottom heavy, but the top 3 episodes of season 2 are all in the top 10. So, I mean, I really do like this episode, but I don't know, just the Tori storyline, I didn't like that, but everything else is just great. And I love the Johnny going on a date storyline. I love how he met up with the lady from the first episode of the show. I thought that was hilarious, and it's a very funny episode. It's kind of a nice change of pace after the last few episodes, which are kind of heavy. Number 20, I think honestly, barely ahead of it is going to be season 2, episode 9, Popo. Here's my problem. It's too much like season 1, episode 9, different but same. You have your storyline with Johnny going with Daniel. I actually think that's done a little bit better here. Unpopular opinion. I love the double date. That's hilarious. That's the one, I think, reason why I think I put this ahead of Glory of Love, just because that double date's hilarious. Then you have the love triangle problem here. But I think here, it just, everything wasn't done as well. Although, I do like the little drunk test, the scene where they're drinking. I also love the way that Dimitri's humiliating Eli, or Hawk, I guess. I think all that stuff was hilarious. I also love the drinking battle in the middle of the episode was great. Stingray was hilarious in this episode. I don't know. It's just too much like episode 9 of season 1, and Not much different, but this is a regular episode I love. I love this episode. It's just a great episode. It's so much fun. Number 19 is going to be episode 1 of season 3, Aftermath. Okay. I think Aftermath and Pulp are pretty much tied. I give Aftermath the edge because it had more weight on everything. Because I think the way the I think the problem with Pulp is just the way the school fight was set up at the end didn't really work for me. But Aftermath, I think the way they used all the consequences of that school fight was just done really nicely. Much better done than the end of season 1 and going into season 2. This, I think, did everything from going from season 2 to 3. It was just done so much better than 1 to 2. And you also see, this episode does have some emotion to it with Johnny and Miguel. Oh no, Johnny and Miguel, that was the next episode. But I like seeing the stuff between Carmen and all of that stuff. The Cobra Kai storyline's pretty interesting here. It's just, I don't think it's quite as watchable as just some of the others. That's the reason why it's a bit lower. But all the emotion and all the weight that it carries from the last season was done perfectly. And that's what puts this episode ahead of most of all the other ones that are below it. Next up at number 18 is going to be episode 7 of season 2, LOL. The thing I love about this episode is just that training exercise at the end. Both of them, really. They're both incredible. I love them a ton. The one in the forest is great. I love how Johnny's starting to realize that what Kreese is doing is wrong. And then the Miyagi-Do is not quite as interesting, but it's still pretty awesome. This is where I think I started to like Dimitri a bit more. And honestly, Stingray is just, I love how it just pops up right there at the end of it. It's just great. And I think those are the stuff I think that's why I put ahead of Aftermath, because it's a definitely more rewatchable episode. Nothing is really holding me back. It's just not as good as some of the others. That's what I think, really. Number 16 is going to be season 3, episode 7, Obstaculus. Yeah, I got that correct. I honestly think this is a great episode. Love Eagle Fang Karate. That was just hilarious. The fact that he started that dojo and brought all the kids from Cobra Kai plus Miguel was just actually really funny. And then, just the one thing I don't love about this episode, the Sam stuff, the LaRusso stuff didn't really work for me. Other than that, great episode, honestly. I love the fact that Cobra Kai kind of is against Johnny creating this little dojo of his. And that stuff actually really worked for me. And that's just what I really enjoy about this episode. If it weren't for that, I don't think I would be putting this episode really high. But honestly, I think Pulpo, LOL, Aftermath, Ace Degenerate, and Obstaculus are kind of in their own tier, like maybe the B tier, I guess. And I think this is a great episode, honestly. Love kind of what it took from the last episode, and honestly, I just think this is a great episode. I can understand why someone wouldn't like it as much, but the Johnny and Miguel training exercises are just great. I love that he's just like literally training, learning to stand up. I also love that Johnny is looking on Facebook throughout these past 2 episodes. So that's what put this one ahead of a bunch of them for me. And just all that just really worked. Number 16 is going to be season 3, episode 7, Obstaculus. Yeah, I got that correct. I honestly think this is a great episode. Love Eagle Fang Karate. That was just hilarious. The fact that he started that dojo and brought all the kids from Cobra Kai plus Miguel was just actually really funny. And then, just the one thing I don't love about this episode, the Sam stuff, the LaRusso stuff didn't really work for me. Other than that, great episode, honestly. I love the fact that Cobra Kai kind of is against Johnny creating this little dojo of his. And that stuff actually really worked for me. And that's just what I really enjoy about this episode. If it weren't for that, I don't think I would be putting this episode really high. But honestly, I think Pulpo, LOL, Aftermath, Ace Degenerate, and Obstaculus are kind of in their own tier, like maybe the B tier, I guess. And I think this is a great episode, honestly. Love kind of what it took from the last episode, and honestly, I just think this is a great episode. I can understand why someone wouldn't like it as much, but the Johnny and Miguel training exercises are just great. I love that he's just like literally training, learning to stand up. I also love that Johnny is looking on Facebook throughout these past 2 episodes. So that's what put this one ahead of a bunch of them for me. And just all that just really worked.